Pippa Pipkin is a Japanese gaming YouTube creator, and she has been deceiving her audience in a really disgusting way. Now, I don't watch Japanese YouTubers, and I certainly don't watch gaming content, but I have been working in audiovisual production professionally for about 8 years now, and I came across one of Pippa's clips the other day, and I noticed some things about it. And it was really interesting to me because I checked the comments. It was obvious to me as a professional, but I checked the comments and nobody else was talking about it. And so naturally I was kind of curious, and I went through the rest of her content, obviously not all of it, but looking through, and nobody was talking about it on any of her content. And then I checked Twitter, and nobody on Twitter was talking about what she was doing to deceive her audience. I even, heaven forgive me for saying the name, I even went on Reddit. Silence on this controversy. But before I get into what she's doing, I want to give you a little background on why I really think it's so bad. See, being a YouTuber is all about authenticity. We had Hollywood, we had magazines and record labels and etc. We had this establishment media that was very polished and, big industry kind of thing. But YouTube was something, it's just a person picking up a camera and just being themselves, just putting it all out there, just, in their bedroom, wherever. It was about it being real. That's what made YouTube special and different. Now, a few months ago, Mr. Beast, the largest YouTube creator, had some controversy for, among other things, faking his videos with special effects. And it was pretty small things, to be honest. It was just little tweaks here and there to up the suspense of the videos, to improve the pacing, to, just make it more visually interesting. But it was a big deal. People felt really betrayed by it. And I'm ashamed to say that what Pippa has been doing is way worse. It goes way beyond anything Mr. Beast has done. You're probably familiar with how Pippa looks. It's a pretty iconic look, instantly recognizable. But what if I told you that that is not actually Pippa Pipkin? That what you see in her videos is actually a CGI model. It's a computer-generated special effect. It's outrageous, I know. I genuinely couldn't believe it at first, and certainly couldn't believe that nobody was talking about it. And you may be skeptical. After all, Pippa's this huge celebrity, and I am just like some small little guy, But, like I said, I've got professional experience on this kind of thing. So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but let me give you, in sort of layman's terms, a brief technical rundown of how I could tell you that it's a CGI model that she's been using in place of herself in her videos. Hey, so I'm Elijah's editor. I'm going to do some of the technical breakdown for you all now. So in this first clip, what we see here is what we describe as physically inaccurate lighting. So on the CGI model that Pippa is using in place of herself, we can see that there's a very sharp highlight roll-off. It basically goes from the highlight directly to her hair color. But comparing it to with the woman in the background on this video, we can see there's a much more even gradient between the highlights and the midtones. Flows very nice, proper roll-off. That's what it actually looks like when it's a filmed person and not a computer model. So, second thing I wanted to point out is we see here, you can notice in almost all of her videos, she is in front of a black background. And that's actually to conceal the fact. It's to conceal something that you would look for to know that it's fake, which is missing color bleed. So basically, if she was in front of a colored background, on the edges there of a real person who's being filmed, you can zoom in and see the little bit of color spilling onto the person. But with a black background, you don't see that, and you also wouldn't see that on a CGI model. So it's to kind of hide that fact. And it also helps to hide the missing blur on the edges that you should get from a camera's depth of field, which you don't have because it's a computer model. And then finally, and most egregiously, is that we're just missing a lot of the simulations. Like, this is probably the most offensive part of the whole thing. Like, if you're going through all this effort to create the CGI model, you should at least do a good job. There's just simulations she straight up forgot. As you can see here, when she moves, the clothes on the model don't move at all. It's missing the cloth simulations. You can see that when the model is speaking, you don't see the pores stretching on the skin of her face, which is a clear indicator that it's CGI and not a real person. So like, if you're gonna pull this kind of sick stunt, at least do it right. So there you have it. The whole thing's a fraud. Hundreds of thousands of people have been deceived. Pippa, what you need to do now is make an apology video. Coming clean, admitting to what you've done, and apologizing for it. And you need some kind of cringy shtick, so I can make a reaction video that will go viral as a follow-up to this one. And just as like a personal recommendation, what I would do in your situation, maybe set up some kind of charitable foundation for like kids who have been deceived by CGI. And honestly, if you don't do those things, here's the actions that I'm going to take. Because, you know, as a YouTuber, I find it really offensive, honestly. If you don't come clean, I'm going to cancel all of my subscription services. Now, I'm sure some people are kind of confused on what exactly that means and how it's related to this situation. So let me break it down. I'm going to cancel my Crunchyroll, okay? Now, that's only like $9 a month, but in Japanese pesos, that's like $1 billion, okay? So if I cancel my Crunchyroll subscription, the Japanese economy collapses, all right? And that means no more video games for Pippa to create her content with. Okay, what I'm also going to do, cancel Amazon Prime Video. What people need to understand is that subscription services operate on a razor-thin margin. And most analysts actually think that Amazon Prime has probably been operating in the red this whole time. So all it's going to take is a couple extra bucks to push Amazon over the edge and say, that's it, we're done. We're not losing any more money on this. And so if me and maybe one or two other people cancel our Prime subscriptions, Amazon's going to shut down their whole media department probably, including Twitch. So all the Twitch streamers are going to flood YouTube. And then you're going to have, I mean, they're going to be cutting into your audience, Pippa. And beyond that, you know, let's say I cancel a couple more, Netflix and, you know, Hulu, Max. Like I said, they're all operating on razor-thin profit margins. Probably the film industry is going to start to collapse. Hundreds of actors, editors, special effects artists are going to lose their jobs. So I cancel the rest of my subscriptions. Whoever you're hiring to do your CGI model probably is not going to be able to make ends meet. Not even going to be able to create that for you. So in the end, it's all going to come out one way or the other, is what I'm saying. So I would just come clean right now. I think that's the honest thing to do. So I just really wanted to expose that. I hope you all appreciate it. I've been sitting out here. It's literally 90 degrees. So I hope you appreciate the effort I'm putting in to get this expose together. And if I can't imagine, certainly with such a large following, that anybody else is doing this. But if you think there's some other YouTubers out there who are pulling a similar stunt, shoot me clips, send them my way, and I can take a look, tell you whether or not it's like a real person or a computer generated special effect.